Hey guys, and welcome to another streaming video. Today's video is going to be ranking the 3D Mario games. Yeah, I did the 2D Mario games a while ago and that's gone down really well on my channel, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. So yeah, we're going to be comparing the 7 3D Mario games that have been made so far. And yeah, let's get right into it. Yep, at number 7 is Super Mario 3D Land. Now, this game was what the 3DS got as their 3D Mario game. Well, if you can consider it a 3D game, they made this game to be a mixture of a 2D and a 3D game combined. And did it work? Kinda. The controls are pretty smooth for the most part, and it actually feels quite good when running around, though I did miss out the triple jump, which was a stupid mistake. And also, the long jump is just pathetic. Like seriously, it's more than a normal jump. What the hell? It's also kind of annoying that there's no kind of way to support your jumps. As in, like with Odyssey you have Cappy, and in Galaxy you have the spin jumps. Although, what does kind of make up for it is a Tanuki suit. Without this power up, the game would be so much harder, which is actually quite cool if you want to add a bit of a challenge, considering the difficulty really isn't that high. But yeah, although it isn't a completely new power up, it's cool and much more useful when using the power up in a 3D moving game. Now, the level design. It's pretty cool for the most part. Some of it is kind of plain and it's quite obviously ripped off the new Super Mario Bros. Series. But the final Bowser fight was done really well. Although it's definitely not the hardest, it's made really dramatic, with Bowser jumping all over the place, including your head. Yeah, he can jump on your head, out of nowhere. Now finally, one of the hardest levels in Mario history, Special 8 Crown. Now this is a challenging level. Your movement has to be so precise at all times, or else you're just dead. This level is virtually impossible without the Tanuki Leaf, but if you're up for the challenge, then, well, you're crazy. Overall, I'm not saying this game is bad, it's just the worst out of the 3D platformers. Yep, at number 6 is Super Mario Sunshine. Now this is definitely gonna cross the mind with a lot of people, as it is such a great title. But for me, don't get me wrong, it's a quality game. The movement is slick, and the introduction of the Flood Pack is great, and allows the players to recover from any misplaced jumps. It also allowed the game to include very unique boss fights. For example, the PT Piranha fight is great, and so different from any Mario boss we've had ever before. You have to shoot water into his mouth to pretty much drown him. This also allows us to really get better with the Flood Pack and use its variety of abilities. Although, what I also like that they included were these additional challenge levels where the game swipes Flood Pack right off your back and you have to use the basic Mario controls to complete it. After getting used to be able to recover from mistakes, it's really difficult now that if you make a wrong jump, yeah, you're dead. Now the final boss, although it's definitely not the hardest fight of all time, it's so much different to anything we've seen before, and it's really quite funny seeing Bowser just chilling in some green lava boiling stuff, and ruining his experience is even better. Now as much as all these points seem like the game is pretty good, it still has its flaws. It's kind of annoying and sad how they were limited to level design, as the whole game was based off how Mario and the rest were stuck on this island. And because of this, all the levels had to be based off like a holiday tropical island kind of thing. Also, Bowser talking, Nintendo, never do this again please. Finally, blue coins. These tiny yet terrifying, disgusting little things, just yeah. So basically, do 100% this game. You have to get all of these things in every single level. Now this wouldn't be too bad if you could actually see which ones you have and have not collected, but for some reason it didn't even allow you to do that. You've got to remember each location from where you've looked, and these coins aren't placed in obvious positions, trust me. But overall, I can see why some people adore this game, and some people don't, but personally I think it deserves a spot on the list. Yep, now the game that about 90% of people really hate, but I actually really enjoy. Super Mario 3D World. Many people will be probably surprised about the fact that I've put this above Sunshine, but I really do just prefer it. This is literally the console version of Super Mario 3D Land, basically just meaning it's that game 2.0. The level design is kind of similar in some cases, too similar, but there's still a large amount of really good looking, imaginative levels. I love how this game allows you to choose your character, even when playing by yourself. Mario, the all-rounder of the bunch, Luigi can jump the highest, Toad the fastest, but his jump is pathetic. Peach can float in the air, which is really effective and kind of like a cheat code for the game. And finally, Rosalina, who you unlock later in the game, has a special spin jump from Super Mario Galaxy. Now the bosses. They're unique. They're definitely not the hardest bosses ever, but a Mario game with unique bosses is quite rare, so that's good enough to be honest. The final Bowser fight really isn't hard, but that Bowser is just way too cute. Like, Nintendo, this just isn't fair. I do not want to hurt him. What really frustrates me with this game is that you have to do what you have to do to 100% it. You have to basically beat every level with every character and get a golden flag ball and get all green stars possible. Like, that's just too much. It's not really bad due to its difficulty, but it just takes too long. And by the time you play every level 5 times, it does just get dull and boring after a while. But yeah, that doesn't take away from how fun the game is, and I'm really glad that we got it. Super Mario Galaxy gets number 4 on this list. Okay, now we're getting into the good stuff. Yeah, the last 3 are pretty good, but these top 4 are a whole nother level. Super Mario Galaxy, now this was just incredible. It put a whole new spin on the idea of 3D platforming with the introduction of gravity. Now this feature allowed for standard level design just to be thrown out the window, and brand new levels were introduced. And these new power-ups were great. Even the fire and ice flower, which now had just changed slightly to suit the 3D game style, really worked and were a great addition to the game. Now this game is not only home to some of the best level design, but it's home to the best hub world ever. There's just so much stuff to explore, which is great. Like, I'm surprised there weren't loads of stars within this, as there was definitely enough room for it. It's crazy just how much detail they went into when making this. What I think was a great addition was the fact that you could unlock Luigi. Now it's not just like you complete the game and then you unlock him as a reward. There's a actual kind of Luigi's Mansion theme level, when saving Luigi is the main target. It's such a cool idea, and even better, it means you get to play the rest of the game as the best brother. It's great. Now finally, the final boss. I really enjoy this one. It's definitely not the hardest one yet again, but it is quite tricky timing your spin perfectly. The music is amazing and is the most dramatic ever. Like, I know pretty much the entire soundtrack is really good, this final boss music is just incredible. So yeah, this put a great new twist on the 3D platformers and was a really fun game to play through.
It's me, Mario!
Number 3 on the list is Super Mario 64, the first 3D Mario game ever, and oh boy, was it something special. For this title, Mario would just be stomping on Goombas, jumping over gaps, and stepping on a button that kills Bowser. But now, swinging him around in circles, throwing him at these huge balls of spikiness, and calling him gay? Yeah, okay. This game is just so much fun, starting off with movement. For the most part, it's really slick, and Mario responds very well. This is where most of the new games' moves originated from, like wall jumps, backflips, long jumps, and even more. And when people press the button, Mario actually responds, making it much more interesting and slightly less raging. Next up, level design. Now, oh boy, is level design absolutely amazing. Every single level is completely different and unique from another. They also clearly rise the difficulty the further you get through. Like Bowman's Battlefield, it's much simpler and easier to get through than, say, the final Bowser level. That requires much more precise movement and jumps in order to get through. Although that mega chain jump still gives me nightmares, like Nintendo toning down a bit. This is great, as it means the player has to learn and improve gradually as they play through, and eventually get all the required skills to complete the game. Now, the music. Oh boy, is this great. This is by far home to some of the most iconic songs in Nintendo history. My favourite tune has to be the Jolly Roger Bay theme, although, not gonna lie, I really dislike the level. It's not necessarily a bad level, but just water levels I find really frustrating, as you aren't able to fully explore them due to the restriction of Mario's breathing. But speaking of negatives, this game doesn't have many, but there are a few things that need to be said. First of all, although I do love a few little glitches to explore, but the fact that it's so broken you can complete the entire game with a total of 0 stars is kind of extreme. I can see people disagreeing with me for this, as it's quite fun breaking a Mario game, but it just shows how poor some of the programming was for this game. Now I know I said the level design was really good. Well, that's true until you get to the last level. After you complete the game, you can play the Rainbow Ride level. This is just overall really underwhelming, considering you have to complete the whole game, which isn't easy by the way, in order to unlock it. It's quite frustrating to see that it really isn't worth it. So overall, this game is amazing, and without it, I doubt we would have had any of these other games on the list, or at least anywhere near the quality. So yeah, massive shout out to Super Mario 64.
Super Mario Odyssey!
Super Mario Odyssey takes number 2. The newest of the 3D platformers, and in my opinion, one of the best. This game is amazing, and so different to anything we've seen before, mainly due to the introduction of Cappy. Now this hat allows you to possess pretty much everything, including Bowser, but we'll go on to that later. But yeah, Cappy is just an incredible thing to use in this game, not only because it allows you to possess other creatures, but because of the variety of jumps it allows you to do. There are so many incredibly long jumps, they would never have even been thought of being possible. But, for example, Bruncheon. I still haven't done that bloody jump, but it's just insane that it's even possible. Like, look how far away that is. It's mad. And it's also great to use as a backup and recovery if you mess up. It's like the spin jump from the Galaxy games, but about 10 times better. Okay, now the kingdoms. All of them are absolutely amazing, all unique from each other. My favourite has to be the Metro Kingdom, due to the amount of detail they put into every section, and the amount of unnecessary things that they added, just to make it more exciting. For example, the moped. It wasn't needed, but they just added it anyway, for us to enjoy. Speaking of unnecessary things, the costumes. Finally, we get to customise this guy, and get him out of that boring red old outfit, and place it with purple and green and yellow and everything. The sheer amount of costumes there are is just incredible, and they all just look so cool, and all have a meaning and a relevance to the Mario franchise, which is great. Well now, the final Bowser fight. I gotta admit, the final fight was kinda underwhelming, as it's pretty much the same battle as the Cloud Kingdom, but just slightly harder. But after defeating the Bowser is a final boss level you'll never forget. You get to actually capture Bowser, like, that's incredible. He's also really fun to use with his fire breathing, which can be really effective, and then this clawing, which you use to eventually finish the game off, making the final level truly amazing. Now after completing this, you're on the darker side, where you will play the so-called hardest level in the game. Whether I agree with that or not, that's what they're trying to create at least. Although, it's really not the hardest in terms of overall difficulty, it's really large and takes a while to get through, and with no checkpoints, that could cause some serious rage. Now finally, music. Although there's definitely not the greatest game in terms of soundtrack, there are a couple of great tunes still hidden in there. My favourite one from the Kingdom is the Metro. I often find myself just humming along to this. No, overall, this is very close to the perfect Mario game, but there's one game which I think is the closest we've got to perfection. That's right, Super Mario Galaxy 2 is my favourite Mario 3D game. But not only that, probably my favourite video game of all time. And there's some very good reasons as to why that is. What Nintendo have done is basically taken any kind of negativity that existed in the first game and completely changed it into something amazing. By far, the best improvement for this game was the addition of Yoshi. With the addition of Yoshi, it allowed the game to not just be too similar to the original, and even just improve it. Now even Yoshi had different power-ups, and my favourite had to be the one where he turned blue, and could float higher and higher. I wish this was used more, but I guess they couldn't do everything. Speaking of power-ups, there were a lot of amazing brand new power-ups that we'd never seen before in the Mario franchise. For example, the Rock Mushroom. which basically allows Mario to roll into enemies, but even better is the Cloud Mushroom. Now this was an incredibly fun item to use. It put an entirely new aspect in that game and allows you to pretty much break it, which is a good thing as it's a lot of fun. But yeah, it also allows you to complete some really fun and challenging jumps, which has an extra thing to do after completing the game. Speaking of completing the game, let's talk about the galaxies. These are so much fun and in my opinion go into much more detail and are so unique compared to Galaxy 1. Now the final boss. This is just so different to anything we've ever had before. Yeah, it's not too challenging as there is a big marker showing you where to ground pound, but let's be honest, it's very rare that you find a challenging Mario boss. Okay, now the music. By far the best soundtrack in any game ever. Literally, whenever you're anywhere in the game, it's guaranteed that the song that is playing is great. And that plays a big part for me, as if you're stuck on a certain level and have to repeat it over and over again. The music can give you some extra dedication needed to get through it. And these are the reasons why Super Mario Galaxy 2 is the best 3D Mario game we've had. And that's the end of today's video. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you did, then please leave a like. Let me know your opinions on my list and where you would place your 3D Mario games. Check out my Twitter, Patreon and Instagram and Twitter in the description. If you're new here, please subscribe and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.